Okay, I guess we should address the elephant in the room. For those of you listening, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but for those of you who are watching the video, well, you probably noticed something is a little bit different about me, especially if you know me from, the past, and that is that, well, my hair's gone. No, I'm not crazy. I haven't gone off the deep end because of the COVID crisis. My barbershop is closed, and I just don't have the skills to be able to cut it on my own. So I've been wanting to go back to a buzz cut anyway. And so I figured, you know what? I'm just going to cut it all off. And so I did. And when I did it, I was freaking shocked because I haven't had a buzz cut in 8 years. And let's just say that the hair on top isn't quite as thick as it used to be. But I will say, showers are a lot faster, and I can get out of bed, spritz some water on my face, and I'm good to go. No longer do I have to do all sorts of, dressing up my hair or anything like that. That's beside the point. That is definitely not why I decided to start this video. I started this video because I wanted to share 3 ways that you can stick with your home workouts during the COVID crisis. For me, I love the gym, okay? I am not a huge proponent of working out at home. The gym offers a feeling of accountability and community that obviously you just can't get at home. I've been going to gyms for a long time now, starting mostly at traditional gyms, doing things like Gold's Gym, LA Fitness, things of that nature. And there, it's always nice because, a lot of people there are trying to obviously elevate their physical conditioning, their strength, get jacked. And I would feed off of that. So if someone else is pushing a bunch of weight, well, I want to push that too, even if they are, double my size. And then later on, when I joined CrossFit, that unlocked a whole new world for me because not only could I just look afar at the massive weight that someone was crushing, but I could work out in a community all achieving kind of the same goal. We're doing the same workouts and just trying to get through it as fast as you can. And not only that, but building each other up in the process. And that's why I like CrossFit so much, and honestly probably why it's blown up to such a huge success that it is today. So what do you do now? If you're someone like me who was used to going to a gym, who was used to going to CrossFit, what are you supposed to do at home now? You don't have the equipment, maybe maybe a couple dumbbells, maybe a few resistance bands, but there's no way you're going to get the gains that you're going to get at the gym. So how do you, 1, get a good workout, and 2, even more important, how do you stick with that workout plan when you're not in the setting that you're used to being in? So let's cover that a little bit. Let's unpack that a little bit. 1, as far as finding a workout that you want to do, you're going to have to be a little bit creative, and it's something that I've had to do. Historically, despite my frame, I actually don't really like endurance training all that much. But since I'm in a situation now where I have limited options and I don't have a gym where I can just do a lot of strength training, I figure, you know what? I'm going to start running. And that's what I decided to do. I'm not doing it every day, but I'm doing it a couple of days of the week just to sort of try something new and get a new sort of physical stimulus to adapt to. The other thing is that make use of what you have. Even if you have resistance bands or dumbbells, use them, or even if you don't have any of those, find something that weighs a reasonable amount. I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head. A case of water, a cooler of, I'm just literally looking around my garage. Okay, I'm looking at an amplifier, maybe something not quite that large, a suitcase, whatever the case may be, find something that weighs a reasonable amount and do things with it. Do some curls with it, lift it overhead safely. Whatever the case may be, you'll have to be a little bit creative and a little bit open-minded when it comes to finding a workout routine that you can stick with. one of the things that I've started to do more regularly now is I do yoga. Now, I started yoga in December, but more as a way to build mobility, more as an adjunct to what I was already doing at the gym. It wasn't necessarily meant to be a replacement for it. But now that I'm in the situation where I don't have access to a gym, I am using yoga to that end. And so I'm doing workouts that aren't necessarily what I would say in my wheelhouse, but the benefit of doing that is you have a lot of room for growth in that. Because if you think about, if you're someone that does a lot of strength training and you're someone that grinds at the gym and just, day after day, just crushes the weight and busts out a ton of reps, you've already reached sort of that beginner adaptation. All right. When you start it's like any skill that you start, you get really good at it very quickly, or at least you attain a certain level. You get adept at it reasonably within a relatively short amount of time. It's getting that last 20%, getting that upper echelon of physical conditioning for whatever workout you're doing. That's what's difficult. So if you think about yoga or running, a couple of things that I'm not particularly good at, I have a huge window of opportunity to improve on that because it's something that I don't ordinarily train. And so it's sort of a mindset shift and to think about, okay, well, I know that I'm not going to get a very good workout if I think about the old way of lifting a lot of weight. So you have to rewire your thinking a little bit on what you have available for you and what you want to be able to achieve. And so that kind of brings me to my first strategy when it comes to sticking with a home workout plan, and that is to have goals. If you just set up a workout routine and you don't have goals associated with them, there's a pretty good chance you're going to flounder and then you're just going to drop off. You need to have goals set in place. So what does that look like? That could depend on what you're doing. So for me, for running, I'm only doing it 2 to 3 times a week, but what I've done is I've set out a route that is pretty much equivalent to a 5K. And basically, as I go through and I do that route, I try to set target markers for a time that I want to achieve. So maybe it might be 30 minutes, and then the following week, maybe try to get that down to 29 minutes, and just trying to set goals so that you have something you're working towards. If you're just mindlessly going through a routine, that might work and that might have worked for you at the gym, but it's going to be very hard to stick with that, especially if you're doing a workout routine that you're not even really, that you historically haven't been that fond of, if that makes sense. So that's the first thing, is that you need to set goals, and you don't need a lot of them. I have a goal for running I have time goals that I try to get to. Here's another example. So if you're doing, let's say you want to do the strength training, you don't have the equipment, maybe you have a few resistance bands. Obviously, your resistance bands are only going to go up to a certain resistance, okay? Probably you're not going to set a reasonable goal you're not going to set a goal to try to achieve a certain resistance level. It just doesn't make sense. You can't add resistance bands as easily as you can just, stack plates on a bar. What do you do then if you can't do that? In that case, set goals in terms of how many reps you want to achieve. Let's say you can get 50 reps on a given extra, well, maybe that's a lot. Well, we'll just go with it. Let's say you can get 50 reps for banded rows, okay? So if you can do that one day, see if you can make it to 60 the following week. The plan is to make goals that you can get to and are sort of tailored to the atmosphere and setting that you're a part of and the type of workout that you're doing. If you're doing yoga, I keep going back to these because these are just things that I'm doing currently. So if I'm doing yoga, honestly, my goal is to perform 2 yoga routines a week. That's my goal. Because yoga, and there's, I don't want to get into it too much, but with yoga, there's not really an end goal that I see it as one of the benefits of yoga. Yoga, really, you get the benefit from just doing it and just being in that mode of focusing on breath work as well as movement. And there's a certain therapeutic nature with that. So I don't set too many goals for yoga as far as just, do it. Now, the second point, the second way that you can stay committed to your home workouts during the COVID crisis is to plan your workouts. So you need to set goals. That's number 1. But number 2 is you need to plan your workouts. And when I mean plan them, this could be a variety of things. You could either do like me, and I literally have a time set where, okay, I'm doing my workout at this specified time. All right. Like for today, I did my workout right when I got home from work at like 5:30. So I didn't have a time, but I told myself when I get home and I drop off my stuff, boom, I'm outside working out. And that's what you have to do. So set either a specified time or a marker. So for example, when you get home, that's your marker. That is when you work out. Or when you wake up, that is when you work out. For me, I loved morning workouts when I would go to the gym and CrossFit. I don't really have that desire to do that at home, and I acknowledge that. And I know that if I were to set that morning goal of trying to work out here, I wouldn't do it. So now I do that in the evening time, and it works out a lot better for me. Going along with the planning aspect, you can plan the time, and I would also focus on planning what you're going to do. Because if you just say, at 5:30 p.m., I'm going to work out, that is a blanket statement. What the hell does that mean, that you're going to work out? That could mean so many different things. For me, today was upper body resistance. So I know when I get home today, or when I got home today, I was going to be doing upper body resistance. I'll be truthful in the sense that I didn't have necessarily a planned out routine, but I knew that I was going to do upper body resistance. For you, you may want to plan out exactly what movements you're going to do so that there's absolutely no wiggle room with your workout and you know what you're going to do. But you may want a little bit of flexibility. It just kind of depends on your personality. Me, I at least like to have what day or what time of day I'm going to work out, and what was the other one? Time of day and what I'm doing. There you go. That's the second one. What I'm actually going to be doing during that given workout. 3, the third way that you can stay focused at your at-home workout during this whole crisis is to be a little bit, forgive yourself a little bit. And this may seem a little bit counterintuitive to the first two, but let me sort of explain a little bit about what I mean. For me, it's very easy to beat myself up if I miss a workout, because historically I would do, before all this COVID crap came into play, my workouts would usually be an hour long. At CrossFit, they're usually an hour long, and then even when I would work out at Gold's Gym, they'd be about an hour. Here, I find that my attention doesn't really last as long. And so I know that if I plan a full hour workout here, there's a reasonable chance I may not do it. And so I could do one of two things. I could plan for that hour-long workout, and once the time comes around, I would maybe brush it off. I might do it, but there's a reasonable chance I might just say, screw it, I don't want to do it. Or I can acknowledge the situation, have a little bit of forgiveness for myself. There's probably a better word than forgiveness, but maybe lenience or or flexibility, maybe something along those lines. I'm just kind of thinking off the dome. But having a little bit of flexibility and knowing that, hey, I know that I'm probably not going to be too adherent if I set an hour-long workout at home. So why don't I set 30 minutes instead and just bust my ass for 30 minutes? And so that is sort of what I mean. Maybe that doesn't necessarily play into forgiveness, but that's sort of what I mean, is that don't shoot yourself in the foot by trying to aim so high for what you're used to doing at a gym, for trying to achieve that same level at home. You may want to tailor that down if your motivation isn't quite as high, but just go all out for 30 minutes. Or if you're used to a 30-minute workout, go all out for a 15-minute workout. You can alter that duration and the intensity and still get a pretty amazing workout. So I hope that was useful for you. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you've been trying to work out at home during COVID and all of this craziness that's going on, in the comments, if you're watching this right now, what are some things that have worked out for you? What are some things that you have found that have allowed you to stay consistent during your home program? And I'd be very curious to hear about that. All right, guys, that is all I have for today. Until next time, I will talk to you in the next video. Take care.